In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 5 new CSS features that will make it much easier to design your website layout. They also make your projects faster and more powerful, and the best part is, you can start using them right away. So let's begin with tip number 1. CSS Nesting. Let's start with one of the most exciting updates in modern CSS, CSS Nesting. If you've ever written long, repetitive selectors, this feature is going to make your life much easier. Before nesting, if you had a card component with a heading and a button, you had to write selectors like this. Here you have to write every element separately like .card h3 and .card button. And this works, but as your project grows, repeating .card again and again makes your CSS long and harder to manage. Now, with CSS nesting, you can write much cleaner and shorter code. You simply place the child selectors inside the parent, like in this example here. H3 button and button hover all element are all written in card class. This way, all the related styles stay grouped together. Here's a demo. Our card has a heading and a button. The heading text is yellow. The button has a black background with white text. And if you hover over the button, it slightly scales up. All of this is achieved using nested rules inside card. So, the action you need to take is simple. Whenever you're styling components, group your selectors with nesting. The feeling you'll get is a sense of clarity, because your CSS is shorter, cleaner, and much easier to read. Feature 2. CSS Container Queries. Responsive design has always depended on media queries, but here's the problem: media queries only look at the entire screen size. What if you want a component to adapt based on the space it has, not the whole screen? That's where container queries come in. With container queries, you can style an element based on the size of its parent container. This means a card, widget, or sidebar can change its layout anywhere on the page, no matter what screen size you're on. Here's how it works. First, tell your parent element to behave like a container, using container type inline size. It is used to start container query. Now, you can write a rule that reacts to the container's width, not the screen's. Like here we write about paragraph. So if this container grows wider than 400 pixels, the text inside it becomes larger and turns blue. This makes components self-contained and reusable. You don't have to worry about where they're placed on the page, they'll always adapt to the space they're given. And that's why container queries are one of the most important CSS features in 2025. Feature 3. CSS Subgrid. Ever tried aligning items in a nested grid, but they just don't match up with the parent grid? You either duplicate code or use messy workarounds. That's where CSS Subgrid saves the day. Subgrid lets child elements inherit the grid structure of their parent. For example, we have a parent grid with 2 columns. Normally, if you add a child grid inside it, the columns don't line up. But with Subgrid, it's just one line of CSS. Here grid template column equals subgrid. Now the child grid shares the same columns as the parent, everything aligns perfectly, without duplicating grid definitions. This is incredibly useful for dashboards, forms, or multi-column layouts, where you want headers, content, and footers to line up neatly. Use Subgrid in your nested layouts to keep everything aligned. And that's the power of CSS Subgrid, cleaner code, perfectly aligned designs. Feature 4 has Selector. Want to do something in CSS that always needed JavaScript before? Meet the Has Selector, often called the parent selector. Has lets you style a parent element based on its children. Here's a quick example. The image here is the child, and when there is image present, then its parent container changes to green border, and it has no image, then there is no border color. This means, if a card contains an image, give it a green border. Without Has Selector, you'd need JavaScript to check and add a class. Another example. Here in this for, if you write anything that is not an email, then it changes its color, but when you write a valid email, it changes the color and shows that it is valid. That's pure CSS, no scripting needed. You can also use has Selector for advanced layouts, like adding spacing to a section only if it has multiple paragraphs, or styling a list differently if it contains link. Use has Selector when you need to style parents based on their children. Feature 5. Is and where selector. Writing long, repetitive CSS selectors? With is and where selector, you can make them short, clean, and easy to manage. Is selector allows you to target multiple selectors with one rule. For example, here we apply yellow color to all the heading paragraph and button font in a single line of code. This applies the same color to all headings without repeating yourself. Now, where selector works almost the same, but here's the difference. Is carries normal specificity, where always has zero specificity. That means where selector won't override other rules. For example, here we will set H3 and P font style italic. All paragraphs and heading become italic, but if you style a paragraph somewhere else, that rule will still win. Like if we change the H3 font style, it will not change. Use is selector to reduce repetition, and where selector when you want lightweight rules that never override. And that's how is and where selector make your CSS simpler and smarter. So there you go, the top 5 CSS features of 2025 that will make your code cleaner, smarter, and way more powerful. Now it's your turn. Open your editor, try them out, and see how much easier your layouts become. And hey, don't just stop here. CSS is evolving faster than ever, and the best way to stay ahead is to keep experimenting. If you found this helpful, make sure to like this video, hit subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss my next breakdown of modern CSS trick. If you want a cool card hover effect like a deck of cards, check out this video. Keep building, keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next video.